Welcome back to your longevity channel. I'm Dr. Joanette, your longevity expert, and today we are exploring a recipe that will combine protein-packed chickpeas with the fresh flavors of a traditional bruschetta. This is chickpea tomato bruschetta. It's more than just an appetizer though. It's a crowd pleaser, but most importantly, it's a way for you to connect with your loved ones through food. In today's video, you are going to learn how to prepare a quick and nutritious chickpea tomato bruschetta. Also, the health benefits of chickpeas as well as their role in a longevity diet. You're going to learn some tips for how to balance the flavors in this Mediterranean-inspired appetizer and ways to also customize your recipe to suit different dietary needs. And finally, how to present your delicious bruschetta for maximum visual appeal. So let's get started and make this simple yet delicious chickpea tomato bruschetta. To get started, I am going to cut several slices of bread from this whole grain sourdough loaf of bread that I made earlier in the week. When you go to my website at growwithdrjoanette.com, you'll be able to find the recipe for how to make sourdough bread as well as how to feed your sourdough starter. If you don't have any sourdough bread, go ahead and purchase yourself a baguette of whole grain bread to use in this recipe. If you're cutting up your baguette, you're going to want to cut it kind of on an angle. For this recipe, I am cutting the bread into about a little less than a ½ inch wide slice. And then I will cut that into 3 separate pieces so that each slice of my bread ends up being 3 separate pieces of bruschetta. You'll need a large cookie sheet that you've put a piece of parchment paper on for your recipe. And I'll cut that up into like 3 pieces here. Make some room here. And what we're going to do next is we are going to go ahead and mix up some oil for brushing on the bread. We're going to toast it in our oven at 400 degrees. Our oven is heating right now, and I've got some olive oil here. I'm going to put about 2, maybe 3 tablespoons of olive oil in this bowl. I am going to use my Mediterranean seasoning and spice blend. Again, go to my recipe, growwithdrjoanette.com, and you'll be able to find this recipe for Mediterranean seasonings. It's so great in roasting vegetables, in dips, in dressings, and so many different uses for it. I'm adding probably about a teaspoon of the Mediterranean seasoning spices and blend. I'm going to mix that all up here, and we're going to brush it in a little bit more olive oil, I think. Yeah, perfect. And I'm going to brush each sides of just lightly brush it with the olive oil. You're going to cook this or bake this bread in the oven until it's nice and toasty and brown. Anywhere from about probably 6 to maybe 8 to 9 minutes, depending upon how much moisture is in your bread, how thick your bread is, it will vary. Just keep an eye on it. Check it after about 5-6 minutes. Make sure it's not over browning. If you want to, about halfway through, at about the 3-4 minute mark, go ahead and flip the bread over if it seems to be getting browner on one side than the other. I quite often do that. It is all ready to go into the oven. While that's cooking in the oven, I've gone ahead and chopped up about 2 cups of tomatoes. When you chop up your tomatoes, leave the seeds as well as the juice on your cutting board. Otherwise, they tend to get a little bit too juicy. And to these chopped up tomatoes, we are going to add some parsley, some basil. Love, love, love the smell of fresh herbs. These are getting a little wilted because I cut them a little while ago. I keep a little herb garden here in my kitchen. Let's go ahead and chop them up. We're going to need about 1/4 cup of the fresh basil, only a couple of teaspoons or so of fresh Italian parsley. You could use the curled leaf parsley. Both of them have about equal nutritional value. I like to use the flat leaf Italian parsley. And we're gonna just dice them up real quickly here. We're gonna get them marinating with the tomatoes. We're gonna add some basil, little parsley, and some olive oil. When you go to my website, you'll be able to find a recipe there for how to safely infuse herbs into olive oil. Remember, herbs grow in the ground, so they carry the potential for botulism. However, I have there on my website my secret for how to make sure that your herb-infused olive oil or garlic-infused olive oil is absolutely safe. So check it out if you are interested in making some homemade herb-infused or garlic-infused olive oil. The smell is heavenly. If you could smell this, you would be wanting to come right into my kitchen and have a bite of that fresh oregano. And we're gonna grab a few little pieces of parsley off here. Don't want a lot of parsley. Today I'm going to be using some garlic-infused olive oil and also some oregano-infused olive oil that I made this summer when all of my herbs were fresh coming in from my garden. That's one of the great things about growing your herbs, whether you grow them out in your garden or even just on a windowsill. If you have an abundance of them, an excess of them, make them into pesto or infuse them in some olive oil that you can use throughout the year. So I have here my oregano-infused olive oil. We're just gonna put a little sprinkle of that on there, kind of give it a little extra marinade, and a little garlic-infused olive oil. And lastly, I'm going to give it a little dash of salt and pepper and a sprinkle of my Mediterranean herbs as well. So many uses for your Mediterranean herbs. I'm gonna stir that up. We're gonna set this aside and let it just meld all those deliciousness, all those flavors together. And so it'll be ready to go on top of our chickpea tomato bruschetta. And next, we're gonna make our chickpeas. But before we make our chickpea portion for our bruschetta, let's talk a little bit about why chickpeas are an important part of longevity. So chickpeas are the star of this recipe. Why? They're rich in protein, and that makes them not just delicious, but also very, very nutritious. And that is that nutrition that will contribute to a longer, healthier life. The nutrition includes fiber, protein, essential nutrients like iron, magnesium, as well as folate. A number of research studies have shown that people who regularly consume legumes like chickpeas may have a better chance of aging well, living longer, and maintaining a healthier body weight. Legumes were a big part of my longevity diet that I had growing up in a Blue Zone community. My mom always had a big pot of legumes soaking on the back burner of the stove, just waiting for her to prepare them for our next meal. We had legumes nearly every day. It was their high fiber content that not only aided in digestion, but also helped reduce our inflammation, strengthen our immune system, and lower the risk of various age-related diseases. My mom is over 100 years old and a testament to a healthy longevity diet. In addition to that, chickpeas can also regulate your blood sugar levels. They will also support proper functioning of your nervous system, thus helping prevent dementia. Let's go ahead and make our chickpea base for our tomato chickpea bruschetta. I have here a blender. When you go to my shop, you'll be able to find this Blendtec blender. But the thing I like the best about this Blendtec blender is this twister jar. It's great for when you have a small amount of something that you are making, because you can then turn the top here and it kind of helps to basically blend it and swipe down or basically clean the sides so that it gets to be this nice smooth consistency. I'm adding 1.5 cups of chickpeas to my blender twister jar here. I'm saving about a half a cup. That's probably a little more than a half a cup. That I'll use as kind of a garnish on top of the bruschetta. And in addition to that, I'm adding a couple of cloves of roasted garlic. For how to roast garlic, it's super simple, and I pretty much only use roasted garlic. It makes it milder, it's creamier, it's easier to digest. You could use fresh garlic as well because you're going to be blending it up. Just dice it up pretty good before you put it in, and a little lemon juice. You can add a little salt and pepper to it if you want, or I like to add again some more of my Mediterranean seasoning. You know, probably a quarter, half, well, maybe half a teaspoon. It's just so great. It's so versatile. Let's add a little, I think just regular olive oil in this one. Probably about 2 tablespoons or so. You want it to be nice and thick so that it's like a creamy spread. A little too thick. I'm going to add a little more olive oil. And if you saved the liquid from your chickpeas, so we add a little bit of the chickpea liquid, and let's see, another. Noisy, but very effective. You can see how I was turning that twister jar to scrape down the sides and keep it moving around. The result is this smooth, rich, creamy spread that we are going to be using on our bruschetta. You can see it's a nice, thick, smooth paste that will be great for spreading on our bread. Our sourdough bread is all nice and crispy and brown on both sides of the bread, ready for assembling our bruschetta. I start with adding a little offset spatula, add a little of the chickpea spread to the bread, add some of these delicious tomatoes, a few chickpeas on top, finish adding the chickpeas here, and it's ready to share with your guests or whoever you decide you want to connect with and share this delicious appetizer with. I recommend, and you can put it on whatever you want, but I like to put it on a charcuterie board. This one was made by one of the local artisans in the area. I got it at a farmer's market. And we're ready for the final step, which is a little drizzle of balsamic vinegar, or actually balsamic glaze. I love just a little drizzle of balsamic on each of them. Sometimes you get a little on the board, but that's okay. Sometimes I put a little on the board for effect. And I like to add a little basil here and there. Yeah, that's probably good. That one there. Maybe a little parsley that I've chopped up here. Just kind of sprinkling on here and there. And there you have it, a delicious, nutritious, easy to make chickpea tomato bruschetta. It's perfect for any occasion, and by incorporating this recipe into your culinary repertoire, you're not just creating a delicious and tasty appetizer, you are also taking a step towards a healthier lifestyle. Remember, the key to longevity isn't just about what you eat, but it's also about connection, about enjoying the process of preparing and sharing food with others. So why not make this recipe a part of your next gathering? And now it's your turn to get creative in the kitchen. We'd love to see your take on this chickpea tomato bruschetta. So try out the recipe, add your own twist. Share your creations with us in the comments below and on our other social media channels. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more healthy, delicious recipes that will help you connect with others and contribute to a longer, more vibrant life. Shall we give it a try? If I could, I'd give it a 2 thumbs up. 1, 2. Delicious, crispy, fresh, vibrant, and packed with protein, flavor, and deliciousness. I think this just might be my new favorite appetizer. Do I have a party coming up soon? I'm gonna have to try this one for sure. Until next time on the Dr. Joanette channel, stay healthy and stay connected.